This is the Athlete and Artist Show presented by BSGG. Thank you guys so much for continuing to support the podcast. If you could please subscribe on YouTube and follow us on Instagram, TikTok, and Twitter at Athlete and Artist Show. We would greatly appreciate it. Thank you and enjoy the show. All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the Athlete and Artist Show. I am the artist Kyle Forch alongside my co-host, professional athlete Zach Boychuk. Great guest joining us today. He is also a professional hockey player out in Germany, and he is an up-and-coming country music sensation from British Columbia, Canada. He has performed at Boots and Hearts, Sunfest, and this weekend, another festival, which we'll get into real quick. Please welcome Mark Ledlin. Welcome to the show, man. Thanks for being here.
Dude, thanks for having me. It's a real honor.
Yeah, thanks for joining, man. We've been chatting for a bit now. It's nice to kind of put like a voice, like a voice-to-voice face thing. I know we've been texting for a bit now, so it's cool to have you on.
It seems like everything kind of goes that way now. It's like you meet people more online than you do face to face now, and it's like, oh, like you meet in person, like I already know you, just through
Yeah,
text and FaceTime and stuff like that.
it's crazy, man. What's the festival that you are performing at this weekend?
It's called Russell and Roots, so it's like Low
Cool,
Cash, James Barker Band, Megan Patrick. So it'll be a good one.
awesome, man. We'll get into all the festivals you've been performing at lately and the one this weekend. But I kind of want to just to start off rewind to, your hockey career. Obviously, you got started in hockey, you played juniors, out in BC, right?
No, I actually played all my juniors in Berlin.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
Oh, so okay, tell us about that. What's the junior league like out in Berlin? Because Chucky's playing in Berlin right now.
yeah, no, I know. So I lived there for 2 years, and so when I was 15, I actually went back because I had a German passport. Like Zach knows all about it. Like, kind of German passports are like a lottery over there. And so I'm born and raised and stuff like that. Went back when I was 15 to finish my midget, and then had to come back to Vancouver, graduate high school, and then I said like it's either like go BCHL and like kind of do the whole school thing, or get paid to play junior. And any kind of 16, 17-year-old kid was like, dude, I'll take the money in a heartbeat kind of thing, get to live in Berlin. So yeah, like one over there was making a salary playing junior. Like I wouldn't say the hockey's nearly as good as like the BCHL and stuff like that, but man, we had a pretty good team to say the least. Like I think there's four draft picks from when I was playing junior that are either playing in the NHL or the A.
Wow.
A lot of the guys are DEL second league, so it wasn't bad hockey to say the least, but it was a different route than most people took for junior.
And how did
So
that
how
and
how
go
did
ahead, Chucky.
you get your German pass? Was it you have a grandparent or your parents like grew up in Germany, or how did that start out?
No, so I was born and raised in Germany. So like born in Garmisch. Uh, my mom's full German. My dad played 20 years in Germany.
That's
Oh wow,
insane.
that's pretty sweet. Where
Yeah.
did he play in Germany? Kind of all over.
Oh, he played him. He played Bad Tolz, like between the first and second league. He played in Switzerland and Davos, so I got to play the Spangler Cup and stuff like that. Yeah, man, he was kind of all over. Played in Munich. Um, just a suitcase, like a lot of European guys.
That's crazy. I thought you were born in BC.
No, dude, I don't even have a Canadian passport.
That's insane. How did you end up out in BC then?
My dad's from Vancouver.
Gotcha. Okay. That so are you only allowed to stay in Canada for a certain amount of time a year then?
No, so I got a PR card.
Okay.
So like I could still. It's basically the exact same thing as like a permanent visa or like a passport.
Gotcha.
Um, there's just like certain qualifications I have to qualify for like. So when I'm playing hockey for most of the year, out of a 5 year span, like you have to be in Canada for like 200 of the days.
Mm-hmm.
And so
Okay.
like I try to prolong my summer as long as I can, like either going late just so I can get a PR card again. Just because it is a hassle going back and forth with one passport. Um, I've I've been meaning to get a Canadian passport. Like my entire family has one. I'm just the only person who doesn't have a passport.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
So what's the process like to get a Canadian passport for you at this stage?
So now it's not that hard because before being German, you were only allowed to have one passport. You had to kind of pick and choose. So like when my dad was telling off his career, like they either said you could have a German passport, Canadian, but you can't have both. And then kind of the rules are if you're Canadian, you can get a German passport. but if you're German, they like defer you from trying to get another passport. It's dude,
Okay.
it's ass backwards, but like I've gotten this far without a Canadian passport. Like I can keep going.
That's wild. So Zach, do you have a Canadian and a German or a US, or what? Do you just have the Canadian passport?
No, I just have the Canadian. I'm considered an import over here, but like I know guys that either have a grandparent or go and sign in Bremerhaven or some of these other teams that find loopholes, and basically they just get them a passport right when they get over here.
That's crazy. So
it's
go ahead.
it's so funny when he said Bremerhaven. Like there was like a running joke that like Bremerhaven and Iserlohn, they were like, man, you could own a German Shepherd and you can get a passport. Like grab a dog, just land in Germany, you're getting a passport no matter what.
That's hilarious. They sound like the Brooks Bandits of the German leagues out there. They just
There's
always find a way to slide a guy in somehow.
it was funny because there was one year like on paper they had like two like Iserlohn had two true German like full-blood passport holders. Everyone else was considered a Canadian or an importer, like a dual citizen. It was crazy.
That's wild. So when going through kind of the junior and the pro leagues, did you have an opportunity after junior in Germany to come over to North America play pro, or did you really only have the options to play Germany, or were you just kind of like I've been here, I love it here, stay here?
You know what? Like, I obviously growing up, NHL was the goal for every kid, and like I played at the Winter Club with like Fabro and Barzell and all those guys, and it kind of seems like besides like Matt and Dante are such good players, but like a guy like Ty Ronning I played with, like his career started off North America, but now he's in Berlin with Zach. Like it kind of goes full circle, and like one thing my dad always kind of instilled in me was like don't defer European hockey as not being pro, because like the definition of professional is like getting paid to play hockey,
Yeah.
right? And so I mean Zach's seen it over there. There's three leagues in Germany you can make good money on. You can go to France, you can go to Hungary, you can go to literally any country you see in Europe is going to have a pro league, and it's you're making a livable wage. That's the thing, and you're taking home like tax-free money. That's the coolest part about it. Like I know I had my buddies like play in the A, and they're on like a $70,000 salary, but they're paying for their apartment, they're paying for their car, they're paying taxes after. Like I knew guys playing in the third league who were netting more than guys playing in the A.
Wow, that's crazy. Because in Europe, the teams are taking care of the apartment, car, a lot of that stuff a lot of the
Everything,
time.
everything, yeah.
That's crazy. So when did music start to kind of come into play? Like were you always interested in it growing up, and then just started to take it seriously, or what was that kind of that
No,
spark
so I was in my second year in Berlin, and
in pro or junior?
in junior. I never got
Junior.
to play pro in Berlin. Kind of things fizzled out and it didn't work out, but we can get into that after. But with the music side of it, like man, I always tell people it was like either be depressed or pick up a hobby or like play video games. Like those are your three options as a hockey player. Like, and so I was already playing video games, and I was like, well, like might as well pick up a guitar. Like I tried to learn from my dad, but like any kid, like you can't learn from your dad. You're just too stubborn to pick something up. And so like kind of just didn't think anything of it, and like went to a grocery store called Lidl in Germany and like picked up a kid's like a $40 kid's guitar. Like it was a 6 string nylon, just a piece of junk. And I'm with my buddy and he goes, "What are you doing?" And I was like, I'm gonna learn to play guitar. And he goes, "Fine. See you in 15 minutes when you get bored of it." And like lo and behold, I like stuck to it and loved it. And like probably took me 2 years to actually get like playing down comfortably enough to like where I could start singing. And then like started singing, started learning fast car and stuff like that. And then like 2 years down the road, like I got to the show The Voice, which was like a crazy milestone for me. Like I thought that was going to be the peak in my career. Even getting on the show was a big thing because I had like all the support from the hockey guys. It was awesome.
That's sick.
And then I get to say like, hey, not a lot of people get eliminated from The Voice twice in one season. Like I just refused to leave the show. And No, and then it kind of hockey opened up so many doors for music, and like now, doing the music stuff, like it's kind of become. I've seen so many similarities of like with music when you're writing music, you know, Kyle, like the hang is probably the most important thing, and like I think Kyle can or Zach can attest to it too. Like if you have a bad guy in the room, like nobody wants to hang out with him. Like being a good
Yeah,
hang goes so much further than just being a hockey player or musician. Like it goes into everything.
for sure. That's yeah, I agree with that for sure. It was what the first time going to Nashville was really my first time, in like a writer circle or like working with other guys. And especially like out of my genre, I remember being super uncomfortable like for the first time writing with other guys because like I came from like hip hop, right? So
Yeah.
like I was always like a big like hip hop roots guy. Like rap was always huge for me. So like I'll write like off of beats or like I'll work with a producer. These guys, they just whip out a guitar. I'm like, what the fuck am I supposed to do here? Like I don't sing like as well as you guys. Like this is, but it was a learning process. So that's, and like I got lucky that all super good guys. So like you said, like the hang was definitely the best experience of it. Going back to The Voice, how did you get eliminated twice in one season? Did you get like fan voted back in or?
Yeah, so they did it one time in the US. It's called the comeback stage. And so
Okay.
they basically have like a fifth hitting coach backstage. And it's like it's kind of those outliers where like you're on the line and they're like, yeah, let's give this guy one more chance. So they basically had like a coach backstage and he was watching my performance and was like, oh, like I think this guy like we'll give him a chance here. And so like lo and behold, I was the only person that he wasn't at the audition for. I ended up getting a call like a week later at the top of a mountain in Austria. And he's like, hey, like, this is Michael Schultz. Like, do you want to come back on the show? And I was like, first of all, who is this? And how'd you get my number? And secondly, like, yeah, absolutely. I'd love to come back. And best part was is my family, like the day I got eliminated from the actual show, like my family knew that day that I was coming back and they couldn't tell me about it. And so like they just see me down in the dumps, like just defeated. But they know I'm going back on the show. But like got the news and everything, went back a couple weeks later and made it through to the next round. So I went 1-2. I went 1-2 on The Voice, and then won that round and then lost the next battle. But it was such a cool experience. But to be honest, like reality TV is kind of insane to be a part of.
Yep, I just did one of those shows. Lots of stories. Lots of stories. Who are the judges for your season? Like the original judges?
It was a guy named Mark Foster, like a Finnish guy, like a Finnish duo kind of thing. Just like a bunch of German singers.
Okay,
Really, like
cool.
I didn't really know them either. But like I know like The Voice UK had like what was it, T-Pain. They had like a bunch of actual like North American artists. Like Keith Urban was a judge, and I think Australia. Like so, there's other judges across the board, but like I didn't really know them either. Um, but it was just they did such a poor job portraying like a hockey player and like who I was, and like they
Mm.
picked what I wore, what I sung, and it was a cool experience. I wouldn't do it again. That's the thing.
Yeah, that's the thing about The Voice. They choose everything for you. Like I remember Wallen was talking about it, and he's like, I didn't want to do pop music. Like they made me sing like One Direction and shit, which like not bashing One Direction, I love One Direction, but like doesn't suit him, right?
No, I think
And
he's saying like the fray, like
yeah,
that's not Morgan. Like give him
so
something gritty to sing, like, and he'll do a great job of it. And like they made me sing like Someone You Love in the audition process, and then I had to sing like Grow As We Go by Ben Platt, the guy who was in Pitch Perfect. And I was like, this isn't me. Like this isn't what I'm singing at home. Like I'm singing country music. But they have the last say. It's their show, right? They're paying for it. So
and they wouldn't budge at all. They wouldn't give you any sort of freedom to be like this. I'll do better if I sing this.
they before like a day before my second round thing, they give you a list. They go, here's 100 songs, pick two of them. And I was like, there isn't one song I wanted to sing. Like I got to sing Fast Car, which is like a great song.
Yeah.
And then I had to sing like a Michael Patrick Kelly song, who's got an insanely high voice, and I don't go that high. And so it was like, what am I going to do here? I'm kind of hooped either way.
Yeah, the Germans aren't really huge fans of country music over here, right?
Not at all, man. Like that. the biggest fans in Germany are always the hockey guys, but the problem is they're all Canadian or American. And so there's no real German country music fans. That's the tough part.
That makes sense. I mean, all the big country guys out there are Canadian or American.
Always the fan, like the guys who always want me to play the most are like the Canadian Americans. But I will say like one thing, like country music is getting bigger in Germany. Like Luke Combs is going there for his world tour. I think Brett Young's going with them. A bunch of other people are planning to go into Europe. But there's just one thing, like I speak fluent German, so like it would be a cool moment to speak German to the crowd and then sing English speaking country music.
Yeah.
That's one of the very few things that happens in Germany.
That'd be really cool. That's the thing with country is it's so regional and to like North America. And like I think part of the reason is because the traditionalists, like they don't like it when people try to go out of the box with country. Like you see it with Morgan, like he's the biggest country artist in the world right now, but he's incorporating hip hop and pop and all like other genres in his music, and like a bunch of people hate on him for it, but then his numbers obviously don't lie. He's got over 20 million listeners on Spotify a month. He's setting all sorts of records, and like, yeah, part of it is definitely part of his bad boy image too. Like controversy always sells more, but it's also like he's trying something different. And like the more whether people are talking about him positively or telling him, oh, that's not country, they're still talking about him.
Dude, 100%. I think like that's the thing. Like the world isn't ever revolving like an ever evolution style like planet we live on.
Yeah.
And we had George Strait, we had Alan Jackson, we had all these guys who have done traditional country, and like there's guys till today still like really ripping the bluegrass roots.
Yeah.
But man, honestly, like everything's changing in a sense of like people are living different lives. They're not living the same history that we used to have. Like, of course the music's going to change because the people, it's like hockey. Like you either become a player, then you coach, then you GM, and then you're done. Like you don't go GM, player, coach. It's kind of this everlasting revolving door. And you're either in, you're out, everything's changing.
Yeah.
And that's why like playing, you have an idea of how it goes. And then your coach, you're like, okay, like I can still incorporate how I used to play. And then when you're GM and these new 19-year-old kids are in, you're like, I have no fucking idea what's going on. And like, so that's why I praise Morgan for kind of doing that stuff. Like I praise Hardy for doing like the whole like metal rock kind of album.
Yeah.
That was like a big thing. I was like, he's arguably one of the best writers on Broadway right now.
Oh yeah,
and,
for sure.
Dude, I think he's got like 186 credited songs. Like these guys, they wouldn't be successful if they didn't take the chance to do something different. That's the thing.
And like that Florida Georgia line, I feel like were really the ones that sparked that, like allowed people to
like the bro country connoisseurs.
Yeah, like that pop like type sound, and they really showed other people, especially after they had so much success, even though they got hated on a ton at first too. But like they showed other artists that it's really okay to step out of your box a little bit and try something that isn't like the traditional norm. And like Cruz, I hated country until I turned 18 and started going to Cowboys, and Cruz was playing. And I'm like, oh, this is sick. I'll get hated on for life by every actual like real like traditional country fan for saying that, but whatever.
But I'll go to bed on my mattress filled with money. Like that doesn't matter to me. Like if those guys are living a comfortable life,
right?
And like they can go to bed sleeping on their diamond plaques. Like it doesn't matter.
It's the same in hip hop too. Like hip hop before kind of country really, I guess before Morgan really blew up, hip hop was kind of going through that evolutionary period too. Like it went from straight rap to now it's more melodic and a lot more like people rip on it all the time because most of the artists now are using auto-tune and stuff, but it's just for a more melodic sound. Like it's just changing, and like I didn't like it at first either, or at least in that like mumble rap period before it got to okay, they're actually like singing or like, using their verses in a melodic sort of sound. But it was it's just it's interesting from like an artist's perspective, seeing how things can, if you really just open up your mind to it, there's so many more possibilities than what you like grew up on.
And dude, that was the whole kind of thing that started like the spark between sports and music. Like, I mean, there's always been this stigma of like obviously hockey players are like pretty tough athletes, and like, but there's always been a stigma that's just like, oh, like we're all just emotionless, like we just put a puck in the back and then a guys fight like it's nothing. And I wanted to be that black sheep of being like, it's okay to have arts and athletics kind of combined. Dude, my biggest fans are the hockey guys. And like those are the people that they thought were gonna rip me apart in the dressing room, but like they want to hear the music the most. They want to hear the demos and stuff like that. And it only takes, man, if I had one kid that followed my footsteps and was like, oh, I saw Mark learn guitar, like I want to do it. Like I feel like I've done my job. Because there is like obviously like there's a huge stigma in hockey of like not being this emotional, vulnerable side to us. But like, man, we're humans at the end of the day. And like everyone needs that kind of outing. And it was either for me, it was either go home and beat the shit out of my pillow or play guitar and learn music. And like I'd way rather learn I'd beat the wheels off the strings and beat my pillow to death.
Yeah, for sure. Zach, in your experience, like what's the music that you guys are listening to in the locker room in Berlin? Like, are the Canadian guys like yourself like bringing in country at all, or is it kind of, are the German guys kind of running the DJ?
Right now it's a mix. Like German guys will for sure get in there, but then there's some mornings where Canadian guys are like, okay, yeah, we need to hear some country. Let's just chill out on the German disco and the EDM and all that, because they could listen to that stuff all day. And I mean, some of the guys like the older music, some of the guys, still like Queen and AC/DC, and they could just listen to that all day. It seems like rock's just still huge in Germany, but country's starting to come along, and I think it probably is from a lot of Canadian and American hockey players pushing it.
You're gonna have to start tossing some Ledlin into the mix there.
Yeah, exactly.
Put him on the Berlin rotation.
Zach?
Yeah, nobody's here. He just signed another 3 more years. So
it was so funny. He when I was like 17, like they do pro camp every year with the pro team, and so like I was one of the juniors doing pro camp, and there was a guy who like just absolutely took a run at me in training camp, and nobody pulls me on the bench. He might be like 24, 25 at this point. And he goes, "Man, you're gonna let him do that?" And I was like, dude, this guy's played 9 years in the DEL, and I'm out here 18 years old, like getting run at. And he goes, don't worry, I'll go do something. And he just goes and levels the guy. And
Come on.
like, oh, dude, it was so funny. And like Lauren Brown was his name. Both the brothers used to play. And yeah, like he like got into it with him. He was like, don't worry, I got you. And I was like, one of those moments that is just like, thanks, Nobi. Like he won player of the year like 2 years ago.
Yeah, he's a German legend over here for sure. He just won silver at the Olympics and at the World Championships recently, but yeah, it's crazy over here. So was the juniors at the Welly? Like, is that your main rink where you guys were? Or
that was our barn. That was our barn, man.
Yeah, like built. I don't know how old this barn is, but it's like steel and concrete, and we still practice there pretty much every day.
Dude, it's they call it the tin roof because it's so thin up top. But that used to be their like main arena. And you guys still doing Champions League?
Not this year, but the last couple of years.
Yeah, so like you guys played Champions League in that rink, didn't you?
Yeah, last year it was crazy.
It gets pretty
loud. The fans just love it there.
It gets loud in there. No, dude, man, playing junior there and like doing the pro stuff, like I was under pro contract, but then I was still playing junior. And so my day would consist of like 9 a.m. I'm the first guy at pro practice. I had Uwe Krupp as my coach at the time. And I'd be the first guy there. We'd have workout, whatever. We'd skate, and then immediately after, I'd go to my dressing room, put on our practice gear, and then skate with the junior guys. And I finally got to the point where, like, in training camp, we were doing 2 days with the pro team and, like, a practice with the junior team. I said, Uwe, I can't move anymore. Like, I literally can't do anything. He goes, don't worry, you don't have to do this bag skate. And they end up doing, like, sets of 12 of, like, islands, and I'm like, thanks, Uwe. Appreciate it. I'll be back tomorrow.
Have you ever dreamt about calling the shots in the betting world? Well, welcome to BSGG, where you can bet, swap, and play. BSGG is the first of its kind Web3 blockchain-based decentralized betting exchange. Here you have the power to be the bookie and set your own odds. Say goodbye to hidden fees, long waiting times, and the uncertainties of traditional betting platforms. With BSGG, it's a peer-to-peer experience, eliminating the need for any third party. Experience a betting platform like no other, where every stake is transparent and you can see exactly how your odds are calculated. This is the future of betting, where you hold the reins. But hold on, we are not done yet. Brace yourselves for BSGG's version 2.0, the massive upgrade to the platform. This enhancement brings the thrill of betting even to those without crypto knowledge, with the simple use of a credit card, bank transfer, or crypto deposit. And for the first time ever, an online casino with live dealers and plenty of slots right at your fingertips. The new upgrade simplifies the betting experience, allowing those with no crypto knowledge to jump right into the action in seconds. Join us today at bs.gg. Be the bookie, set your own odds, and experience betting like never before.
Yeah, that's what I'm going through right now. The 2-a-days, we're on our 4th 2-a-day. We got about 6 more left. So, but we have a lot of junior players up with us right now. They're the 5th line, the white line.
Oh,
And
yeah.
anytime any of the older guys get a little bit tired, it's like call in the white line, and they're going like twice as much as any of the older guys.
It was my favorite part. It was like, because I did that for 2 years. So like half the guys that stayed in Berlin had like 7 or 8 year contracts at the time. And I was a part, like I was when like Darren Oliver was there, Mark Oliver, like Bruno Gervais was there. And I remember like being the youngest guy on the ice. And then anytime we would do any sort of like game or like scrimmage area, you're obviously the last pick. You were the last pick for everything. But you do like one thing where you beat a guy that's like a full-time player and the boys just lose their mind. And it was just always the funniest moment because you could do like the slightest thing and like, dude, like the odd time, like a blind squirrel finds a nut once in a while. Like you go and you like rip one short side and the boys are just like, whoo, and then just give it to the guy completely. It was my favorite part of Berlin.
Yeah, the older boys seems like beauties. I think I wish I would have got to play a little bit with the older brother.
Dude, Andre Rankel still scares me to this day. He still scares me, man.
Is he a big boy?
He's our assistant coach right now. He was a big boy back in the day. He used to be the captain, right?
Oh yeah, dude.
Damn.
Word on the street was like, because they went on like a run. They won like 7 championships in 9 years, and everyone just got an extended contract every time they won a championship. So like these guys who won 7 championships out of the 9 basically had 14-year contracts with Berlin. And so it was like Frank Hoodler, legend in German hockey, like he was there his whole career. Like Rankel was there his whole career. Nobles was just getting started there. Like, dude, half the guys that are still there were there when I was playing.
Wow.
Yeah, Hordler, he's 18 years, won 9 championships. Pretty crazy.
Jeez.
Captain.
And now his son's playing on the team.
Yeah, they played together last year. It was crazy. And Frank, he's still smoking like a pack a day and just running around hitting guys.
Dude, that was one thing that I can't tell. Like I tell people that it happens. I was like, man, I still had guys. Like I played with a guy named Andreas Morchinitz who was like, this was my rookie year, and he would legit like intermission like 4 or 5 cigarettes, no problem. Like that was the last old time hockey I had. And I would go out sometimes and like I would see my coach just chain smoking cigarettes with my centerman. I didn't know whether to like, I didn't know what was going on. I was 17. I was like, is this like, should I start smoking? Like, will I get more power play time if I start hacking a pack? But like it still happens, man. Guys are still chain smoking. Like Frank's a great example of it.
That's
all time.
insane.
You don't have much of an accent. Like you've just basically you can switch it off, switch it on right away, or what?
Well, that was one thing my dad, because my dad's accent is horrible. Like it sounds like he's talking with a sock in his mouth when he speaks German. And so our biggest thing was like my mom would speak German to us at home and my dad would speak English. And so like we never spoke just one language at home. It was always 2. And it was always like, okay, like if my dad's talking to me in English, my mom answers me in German, like I got to answer in German, like the last person to talk. So it was literally like switching your brain on and off. and like cartoons went back and forth between English and German. Like my oldest sister's like a German professor now, and so like it's been nonstop.
So your mom's like full German then?
Yeah, she's from Garmisch, so it's like very bottom, like right near Innsbruck.
Oh, okay. And what's your dad doing now? You said he played here 20 years?
Dude, he's still in Germany, man. Just can't let it go. He's still coaching minor hockey.
Nice.
Wow.
Just figuring it out. Like my dad, but my dad's career ended early. Like he got his neck broken, getting hit from behind, and so he had to call it. He would have played till he was 44, but yeah, he called it quits. And then I think because he never had like a retirement game or go on his own terms, he just can't let it go.
Wow. So
And where does your mom spend most of her time then?
She's
Still
in
in
Vancouver.
Germany always?
My life is ass backwards. My parents are split up, so my mom's German, lives in Vancouver. My dad's from Vancouver, lives in Germany.
that's wild. Just flip flopped.
Oh, dude, that's my life's a sitcom, dude. Like,
so as you were going through playing hockey in Germany, get into the pros, when did you start wanting to record like your first song? Or actually before that, when did you start writing your original music? And then when did you decide you wanted to start putting stuff out?
so I started writing probably the same time I started singing with it. So I was like probably 20, 21, 22 at the time. And like first 50, 100 songs, trash. Like throw those in the bin. Like
I feel that.
you were just rewriting other people's songs at the time. And then like finally one day, like something started to click a little bit. This is kind of when Drink About Me came out. And I was like, oh man, like me, this sounds pretty good. Like I still use the same 4 chords everybody else did, but no, like it kind of had like that melodic beat to it, like it had that upbeat tempo, and like it actually told a story. And then so I found my producers at Dan Botch and Garrett Ward in Vancouver when I came back for the summer, and they were a pop punk band, and so like nobody had a background in country music, and we were all just kind of like, well, like let's give it a go here. And like I let them do their thing. I gave them references. Like I did my thing in like the booth. And lo and behold, like it did really well. And then like anything, it kind of was a snowball effect. Like if you keep doing it, if you keep doing it, like it's gonna get better. It's gonna get better. And so like the songs just kind of started to like write themselves in a sense. Like instead of taking 4 days to write a song, it was gonna take 4 hours. Then it took an hour. And then I was busting songs out in half an hour. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it's crazy how that works, doesn't it? Like I've done songs where it's like it's super quick, or I'll write a verse and then I'll sit with it. I used to like try to force myself to finish a full song in a sitting. So like the first verse would be decent, and then I'd get like lazy by the second verse because I wasn't like motivated. I was like, man, like how am I supposed to compete with that first verse now? Like this my second verses were always weak. But it's music's such a weird thing. Like, do you ever think of lyrics like doing random shit?
Oh, dude, all the time. I'll be driving and I'll be like, oh, that's a cool. Like, I'll see like something random on the side of the road, and I was like, I started writing a song called "Wouldn't That Be Nice," and it was literally because I was driving home and I was hitting all red lights, and I was like, one goddamn green, hey, not one goddamn green. Wouldn't that be nice? And I was like, huh. I kind of rolled off the tongue. So I like got my phone and I was like, wouldn't that be nice? And then I just kind of like that song, I would say in total probably took 3 years to write because I had a chord progression that I sat on for like 2.5 years that I didn't know what to do with. And then that moment I was like, oh, okay, they kind of work together. So like 2.5 years of playing a chord progression and one time going through traffic and red lights had turned into a song.
Isn't
and
that
like
wild?
other songs, it'll take me like an hour to finish an entire song.
It's crazy. I always think of lyrics in the shower.
All the time.
Always. I like my Dance All Night record that ended up being like my biggest song. The second verse came to me in the shower. I was like, I gotta get out. Like, I don't fucking write this shit. I'm like on my phone, like in the shower, like trying to not get it wet. It's
Dude,
like, or
like the most bizarre, like I was on like a date the other day, and I was like, oh, hold that thought one second. And like
quick.
went in my notes, and I was like, wouldn't that be? And like had that, like put it under that song, and I was like just finishing it wherever I would go.
That's hilarious. Sorry, babe, just one sec. Let me okay, go on. What were you
like
saying?
Putting things that like wouldn't that be like, oh, she's gonna pay for the check? Wouldn't that be nice? You know what I mean? Like it was just kind of things that went hand in hand.
Do you ever think of lyrics when you're just about to fall asleep and then have to wake up, write them down?
No,
That's
anytime I think of a lyric or like a song idea, it's like immediate. I put it into voice memos, like
okay.
because I hate forgetting stuff, and like there's nothing. I'm so bad because I will go. My producers hate me because I'll go to the studio, and they're like, "Do you have the lyrics?" And I was like, "Up here," and they're like, "Yeah, but we want to make sure you're saying the right thing that you sent us." And I was like, "I'll say it. I know the song. I wrote the song. Like it's in my head." And I'll literally cut a track. We'll go back to the demo, and I've changed 12 words. And they're like, "Well, it sounds better, but like we just didn't know what you were saying. Like, are you saying my bye? Like, what's going on here?" And yeah, I just hate writing lyrics down because I have a huge pet peeve if when I see people on stage, and you see that big fucking iPad beside the mic,
Yeah.
I'm like, dude, be a pro. Like you're up here singing on a mic, like for people, be a pro. That's like going out on the ice and your laces aren't tied up with your skates. Like be a pro, like look the part, do it. And
And
so if I just remember lyrics, I'm like, okay, I'm never gonna forget them.
that's fair. Joe Jonas still uses a teleprompter on stage.
Teleprompter's different. Dallas Smith uses it. He's got the big screen.
Oh, does
I
he
mean,
use it
like,
too?
oh yeah, like that's different though. Like Luke Combs uses it, everybody does. But when you have your microphone and your phone's right here and you're reading
Yeah.
lyrics on the phone, I'm like, that's
Like
in
you're
my
doing, like you're singing at like a bar on Broadway.
dude, it's karaoke. It's karaoke.
Literally.
And like I that's my biggest pet peeve as an artist is like if you're gonna know these songs, and I get some people on Broadway are talented, man. Like everybody can sing down there, everybody can play. But don't let people request any song
Mm-hmm.
because then you're gonna be looking Bush League going through the phone trying to find the lyrics. And like to me, I think like showmanship goes a lot further than talent because
Yeah.
honestly, like people get pretty buckled. They don't care if you can sing, but if you can fucking put a show on, they will come back and they will love you.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And like, have you been down to Nashville yet?
No, dude, coming down October 3rd.
Nice. Man, you're gonna like
Yeah.
it. Be careful, but you'll love it. It's
I
easy
am
to go down the rabbit hole
reckless
there.
endangerment, man. That's what I am. Reckless endangerment.
It's super easy to network. You're gonna meet a ton of fucking people. It's super easy to network and meet like the inner circle of like Nashville. Super hard to get them to actually do anything because they're always out drinking. I learned that the hard
Dude,
way.
honestly, man, like that's what I'm hoping the German can kind of come out of me and they're like, why is this guy drinking like a fish? Like, and then you're up there karaoke and you don't have a phone, you're just singing lyrics, and he's like, this guy's a pro.
Well, German beer is way better than American beer, so
Oh,
like
dude,
you'll be fine. Their beer is dog shit down there.
It's not even close, man. Drinking light beer?
Yeah, literally.
Germany doesn't have that.
So Drink About Me was the first single, right?
Yeah.
Man, it was hilarious. Once I was scrolling through TikTok, and you've been blowing up on TikTok too. Like it's impressive what you're doing with TikTok and how you're pumping your music. But before we get into that, I was scrolling through it, and this is kind of a tribute to that. But this girl that I know, she's like this beautiful Polish girl, and she like made a TikTok to one of your songs. I was like, what the fuck? I like texted her. I was like, hey, like that's my boy. Like that's my buddy's song. She's like, really? I'm like, yeah. She's like, it's a really good song. I was like, damn, he's doing work. That's sick.
people still pump that song out, like it because it came out on the EP as well. And like I saw that song go up, like when the EP dropped, it was like another like 9,000 on Spotify, like another 8,000 on Apple Music. Like all these songs, it's crazy because you can only see the front platform on Spotify. But like Apple Music and Amazon, man, like Slower Than You Plan's done like close to 300,000 in 3 weeks.
Wow.
And like Drink About Me's at like 800,000. Girl Like You's over 1 million. It's the numbers are way bigger than what people see on Spotify. And
For
like
sure.
that's why like even when you see a guy like Morgan Wallen, take that number and probably the same or a little bit more on Apple, probably the same on Amazon. Like dude, these songs, like last night was the fastest growing song to 1 billion streams ever.
Insanity. It was insanity. That song
like
took off.
It's got like 100 million streams on Spotify. That means it's got to have a ton more on the other platforms.
It just went back to number one on Billboard.
It's Dude, 15 weeks.
And like, and Travis Scott's album just came out, and like he literally beat out for he didn't beat him up for the album, like Travis Scott got the album, but for the single, for Last Night to still be up there when like there's all these new huge artists coming out with new records, and like the country song is still at the top. It's crazy.
I don't know if you guys can like feel the same way, but I feel like over the last like kind of when I got into country, like the last 2 years, I feel like country has just blown up. And like people still listen to rap and like pop and stuff like that, but I feel like I mean, it could be like be a product of your environment. Like you follow these people, you're gonna see it on your page.
Yeah.
But I just feel so many more people are listening to country and going to festivals and like being a part of that like country atmosphere as opposed to like years past.
For sure. I think a lot of it is because of guys like Wallen. Like they're opening doors for the genre for people that maybe didn't know country or didn't. People still don't know who Wallen is. Like, and he's like one of the biggest artists in the world. But I think it's expanding like people's horizons a little bit in terms of, oh, like there's a whole new genre that we can get into, and there's like subgenres in that genre where like maybe you don't like the traditional, you like the pop, which is totally fine. So it's cool. I definitely agree that it's getting bigger. For in terms of the festival, so when did you start getting your performance experience? And did you find that because of playing in front of, crowds for so long helped you in terms of performing on stage as an artist, or was it completely different because it's you on the stage singing to the people? Because I felt it was super different from MMA, like fighting in front of people, to going to like hosting parties, to like going on a stage and actually playing my music. I was like, oh, this is way different.
For me, man, like all goes back to the entertainment side, and like, man, like to be honest, hockey is entertainment. Like it's a sport. Like we see it as a different view. Like it's a job for us, but at the end of the day, it's entertainment for the fans. And like your job is to go out there and like, that's why guys still make moves. Like it's still fun to try stuff and hear the O's when you try to do something. And so for me, like I don't get nervous going on stage, just because like the mantra is like no one's trying to fight you on stage. Like if you do something to somebody in hockey, like they're gonna try to do something. Somebody's gonna try to take a run at you.
Yeah.
And so for me, like I felt no nerves going on stage. Like it was actually like a breath of fresh air, and like having the crowd and the attention, but not having to like score a goal or make a pass, make a turnover, like stuff like that. But no, getting like stage experience. Boots and Hearts was my first time ever performing on stage in front of people. That was like my first intro to performing.
And that's a big show to have your first performance.
Dude, it was 2 years off of COVID, and I was the first act back.
Holy shit! How many people were in the crowd?
Like 700. That was about it. But like to me,
that's
700
still a lot.
people.
That's a lot.
Dude, it beats going to a brewery or like doing a karaoke open mic.
100%. 100%.
And like, the fact is that like I only had 2 songs out at the time, and then people knew the words to Drink About Me. People knew the words to Drink About My Friends, and I was like, this is crazy. These people have no idea who I am, but they just listen to the music.
That's sick.
And it was like one of those moments where I was like, yeah, this is a high. This is like, I need this again. But coming from like a background with sports, like you know what it feels like to play in front of people. So like your highs aren't up here and your lows aren't down here. You're just kind of hovering between that buffer zone. And so like when I just did Sunfest, like just did secondary support for Lainey Wilson a year into music, which is sick. Nuts. And like got to meet her after. It was awesome. Like she and the boys watched the set, and I was like, that's crazy.
That's awesome.
That, like, she gave me the time to watch my set, and like being out there for like 3,500 people. It didn't matter if there's 35 people, 30,000. Like I would have performed the same way in front of anybody. But it's like getting your reps in. Like I remember the first time I ever played a pro game, I hopped the bench and threw my stick in the middle of the ice because I was so nervous. Like just hop the bench and boom, there goes my stick. 2-on-1 breakaway. And I'm like, this is not good. But yeah, it's just like getting your reps in, and like mistakes are going to happen. I know they're going to happen, but it's like, it's how you bounce back from it. Like I didn't just get off the ice when I threw my stick. I went and got my stick and went into play. You just kind of figure it out as you go.
Yeah.
And like this festival would be like my 4th show ever. And like this one coming up. So it's like,
wow, it's crazy.
It's crazy. it's not, it doesn't even feel real, but like I'm still like remembering that it can only go up from here. Like I refuse to go down and like play the breweries and like play those like cover band shows. Like I refuse to do that. Like I'm only gonna keep going up just because like that's my mentality.
Yeah, I don't like the idea of doing like the cover shows like you're 3 to 5 hours, sometimes more, singing like other people's songs. Like I'd rather save my voice, sing my own songs. How are you booking these shows with? Is it just from TikTok or from people seeing your numbers, or like how are you
No,
from
so
not having a ton of
I
performance experience?
I signed with Dallas Smith's agency.
Okay,
So it's called AAG, and so my manager's name is Billy Joe.
what's it called? Sorry.
AAG, Artist Alliance Group. And so like Dallas Smith is kind of the face of it, but like I have a manager and I have a booking agent, stuff like that. Um, but right now it's just kind of all my manager stuff like that. And so she's like getting me these shows. Like Sunfest actually was because of Instagram. They put up a poll and like I put it on my story and like people started like posting like comment your favorite local act. And like 10 minutes in, there was like 100+ comments. And no booking agent, no nothing. They just messaged me on Instagram and were like, "Hey, do you want to play the show?" I was like, "Fuck yeah!" And like I thought I was just gonna get some side stage, whatever.
Yeah,
And they're like, "Oh, like we're putting you on main stage, secondary support for Lainey Wilson." I was like, "That's crazy."
that's sick.
So
Main stage, that would have been what, your third show
that was
ever?
my second,
That was your
like second show like at a festival,
and you're on main stage. That's
and I was on
wild.
a main stage, which is insane.
That's unreal, man. Man, congratulations. That's huge. Like what you've been able to do in such a short amount of time. It's crazy.
Appreciate it, dude. I'm like, and like the coolest thing was like, kind of post that teaser of like Cowboys or sneakers too, and like was getting people like, man, like Hardy would kill this second verse, Austin Snell, and then I was already like messaging with Austin Snell a bit. I was like, hey man, like what do you think? And he goes, it's not up to me, man. It's up to the label. And I was like, that's the nice thing
Yeah.
about and it as I'm still the record label, the money, like I still get to choose what I do. So
Yeah. Yeah, that's the shitty thing about that too. Like I've had that issue with trying to collaborate with bigger artists too. It's like, oh, like I'd do it and like I'll charge you for it, but I don't know if we'll be able to put it out because like the label might not let me. I'm like, what? Why the fuck am I gonna pay you then?
dude, that was like my biggest goal, and like it's so tough to reach these people. Is like I got a song that I wrote. It's called Too Far Gone. It's like same kind of vibe as like what I'm going for with Cowgirls, with Morgan and Ernest.
Mhm.
But like I really wanted to have an R&B artist, and like I got to meet Mike in Vancouver, and like, fuck man, I'm just been trying to message him every day, and like just can never get his song across his desk, and like because he is an independent artist, and I'm like,
Yeah.
oh, like maybe he'll give me the benefit of the doubt, but man, is it ever tough to get a hold of these people.
Yeah, he's super tough. Like he'll, I chat with him every now and then. I chat with Kilmer too, but like because I tried to get Mike on a feature too, and I went through Kilmer. I asked Mike. Mike didn't answer me, so I asked Kilmer, and Kilmer was saying that they're gonna do like his platform Only Steve's.
Yeah.
So he was saying that they're working on something for like their community to if there's like artists in there to do features with Mike if they're members of Only Steve's.
That'd be crazy.
I'm like waiting for that. I'm like, okay, like I'm still gonna keep asking until that comes up.
Oh, yeah.
Because I have like the songs that sound crazy with him on them.
Dude, and like his mantra, like, dude, when I saw him in Vancouver, he's like, next tour I do, I'm gonna have like a country opening act. And I was like, Mike's got talent here. Like, I'll hop on the show. Like, I'll give anything to go on tour with that guy.
Yeah.
But no, he's like his country like vibe to him, and like him and Skis are hilarious. They're just such good dudes.
Yeah, all those guys are solid. And he had Ernest on one of his first tours too.
Yeah.
Like
Dude,
before Ernest was doing like country. He was like, I think Ernest was rapping at the time. And then like
yeah,
I think
he was.
I forget, what did he go by? What was it? It was like Snow or something like that, or was it? Man,
he's always like that's his new publishing company. But like I remember he was saying something. He was actually spitting bars on like a recent Instagram video. It was actually hilarious.
those guys are funny, man. Those guys are like, they have their own like crew. Like Mike's super tight with Wallen and stuff too. Like just that group of guys. That Nashville circle is really interesting if you get in there.
Can only wish.
You will, for sure. Are you booking shows for down there?
Not yet. So the booking agency we're going through is Pecan,
Okay.
And so that's like Avril Lavigne, Bryan Adams, like arguably some of the biggest Canadian acts. But like, dude, it's so tough. It's so the US scene and Canadian scene are two completely different things.
Way
And
different.
dude, even the DSPs, like those are different entities. Like I have to go through a completely different person to get on US Spotify playlists
Mm-hmm.
as like to Canada. And like I'm only now like Spotify now is bigger in the States for me than it is in Canada. And at that point you can finally be like, hey, put me on like Wild Country, put me on Next from Nashville, and like stuff where people are going to listen in the States. And then, but it's all just like leveraging yourself.
For sure.
Mike said it the best. He was, the music industry is just a bunch of like pretending people are listening to it until they actually start doing it.
Yeah.
Where you're like, oh man, everyone, like you posting stories like a million people are listening to your song, but only 100 are. Those people are gonna be like, I gotta listen to it. Like everyone
Yeah.
else is doing it. Like it's fake it till you make it. But like if you're putting out good product, like it's just about it's time, man. It's all about repetition. And at some point, it's gonna blow up.
Are you getting radio play at all?
Actually going to radio first time September was slower than you planned.
Nice.
Yeah, so doing that. So I have the same guy as Josh Ross, so hopefully it pops off like Josh did because he just blew up overnight.
Yeah. Well, yeah, he didn't like he still it's tough. I feel like Canadian being a Canadian country artist is you really got to not put yourself in the box of being a Canadian country artist because those guys they never break over. Like you look at Brett Kissel, huge Canada, nobody it doesn't have an impact in the States. Like Jojo Mason, all these like big Canadian country artists, they don't like make an impact in the States. So like him, he's got the opportunity to, as long as he doesn't screw it up. But he's with the core, so like the core knows what they're doing, and I think that like Chief is gonna do a really good job with them. Um,
Well, that's the biggest thing. I was like, don't put me in the Canadian box. I'm not even Canadian.
yeah,
Like, I'm arguably the greatest country musician to come out of Germany, fucking ever. Like, don't even have any. I'm starting a new genre.
the only
But
one maybe.
only
Just
pop
kidding.
country artist. But I'm getting out of the hood, man. And
I'm clipping that. It's gonna make you look cocky, but it's
oh,
okay.
perfect.
Just kidding.
Perfect. Put that as the headliner. And no, but like that's one thing I told everybody. I was like, anytime you do like a radio interview, like, oh, Canadian country, is like, cut it. Like, just put country musician. Like, don't
Yeah,
emphasize the Canadian because nobody cares.
yeah,
Like, I love being like a PR. I love Canada, but nobody cares when it comes to country music. That you're like, oh, I'm Canadian. They're like, oh, next,
yeah.
shuffle next.
Does,
Like,
does does it help that you're like a hockey player like vibe too? Like I know was it Chad Brownlee? He kind of played that card a little bit growing up.
yeah. So I mean, hockey's opened up every door for me music wise, and like from fan base, like man, I have my fake tooth. Like I have my flipper, and I will like put videos on TikTok and girls would be like, "Oh my god, he got his teeth fixed." And like, dude, it's a legit costume now. Like it's part of my attire is to not have my tooth in because that's what people like. It's like it's what makes me me. And like I tell people it's like I can't sing with this in because there's nothing worse than looking at a 10 in the crowd and you're hitting an 8 chord and fucking your tooth falls out and you're drinking, you gotta like that would be pretty tough meet cute story.
Wow, man, that's hilarious. Man, Chucky, you got anything else?
Not that I can think of. I mean, pretty crazy story. Like you plan on playing more hockey? I guess that's the other question I have for you.
Yeah, I'm actually like, so I'm going back to playing the German third league just because I can make money there, man. Like, there's no pressure. Like, playing the second league was a young guy, like, didn't get a ton of time, and I was like, it's a lot more fun to make money and play than it is to like sit on the bench and make like you. Germany has the U21 rule for or U23 rule for a reason, man. Like, and those guys sit on the bench just to be a number.
What's the U23 rule?
So in Germany, you need a certain amount of players under the age of 23 dressed and on the bench.
Okay.
But there's no certain ice time. Like you could literally be on the bench and never play a shift, and that counts towards the rule. And most times, like unless you were like a Stutzel, unless you're a Sider, dude, you're not going to play over guys like Zach who play in the NHL. Like you're not going to play against the imports who are making really good money when some of these kids are making like 700 euros a month. to sit on the
Wow.
bench and do nothing. And so for me, it was like either sit on the bench and kind of be a blanket player or drop down a league, make really good money and get to play. And I was
That's
like,
fair.
next question, like I get to play, get to do music, like, and I get to walk away with some money. Like next question, that's the life to me.
Fair enough, man. Tell people what you got coming up. I know the festival this weekend. Go over that again, and then whatever else you have planned, releases, shows, anything, social media.
So we got August 12th, Low Cash, James Barkerman, Megan Patrick, Russell Roots in Surrey, BC. Oh man, we got the Roxy first headline show back.
Oh yes,
10th.
we just talked about this.
So funny, man. As a hockey player, you always find your way back to the Roxy. Kyle said that. I had to laugh because it was literally the same thing. I was like, as a hockey player, you go to the Roxy. As a musician, I'm going back to the Roxy where everything started.
So man, when you posted that, I started dying. I was like, of course he's playing at the Roxy.
So funny. And then October 12th, I'm playing the Commodore Ballroom in Vancouver for the Canucks Charity Foundation. That'll be awesome. And then back to Germany, October 15th.
Wow, you go there. You go back out late.
Oh yeah, it's because I have these shows, and I told the team I was like, "Hey, listen, like I can't make it because I actually make really good money playing live shows."
Yeah.
And they're like, "No problem, come mid-October." And I was like, "Perfect. No, don't have to go to training camp. Like, can kind of just come in, be me."
The boys are gonna rip you when you come back.
Oh, dude, I've missed training camp 3 years in a row.
Oh really?
Oh yeah, every year's the same thing. I got a wedding.
That's hilarious.
Yeah.
But he's got the German pass. That's the gold mine. You can do whatever you want with that thing.
We actually say, man, you could go into a coach's office and tell him to go fucking pound sand, and you could find a team the next day.
That's
100%.
wild.
So you're in a city like kind of up north, like by Denmark. I was looking.
So I was in
signed
Rostock.
with a different team.
I was in Rostock the last 2 years. I'm going to Bayreuth this year.
Okay.
They were in the second league for a long time. Money issues, they dropped down to the third league. But yeah, like I think it's only like a 4-hour train ride to Berlin.
Not bad.
Wow.
Have to come out.
Might have to go fucking crush a couple pints and show Zach or show Kyle what's up.
There you go. Everybody's going out to Germany. I need to get out there at some point. I mean, I don't drink anymore, so I don't know. I feel like I'd just be out there watching hockey. But
you go with a 20-euro bill, you can get shit faced.
That'd be great.
Good time.
8 months ago, when I was still drinking. What? Real quick before you go, what are your plans in Nashville? Are you going down to record then, or
going down there strictly for writing and just kind of hanging out, submersing myself in the city, and just like figuring out what Nashville's about, and like letting Nashville kind of get a taste of Mark, and hopefully it works out and I can kind of make some good relationships. And like the biggest thing is the hang, man. And like if you can go down there and like hang out and like show what you can do, if you're not the best writer but you're a really good hang, they'll bring you back in a room. For sure.
Awesome, man. Well, thank you so much for joining us. Really appreciate you taking the time, leaving work early, coming to get on the pod here. So new single coming out soon?
Semi-sort. I think we're looking at end of September for another single. Maybe October, because we don't want to interfere with the radio single.
Yeah, fair.
But like for sure there's going to be some singles throughout the year, and definitely another project next year.
Awesome, man. Looking forward to it. Best of luck this weekend at the Lowcast show, and best of luck in I'm sure I'll talk to you before Nashville, but I mean, best of luck in Nashville, man. It's a hell of a city. Maybe I'll meet you down there too. So I'll give you a lay of land a little bit.
Thanks, buddy.
All right, fella, man. Thank you so much for joining. Appreciate you.
Okay.